Disclaimer: the story of John Titor is a popular internet phenomenon, but there is no concrete evidence to support the claim that he was a time traveler from the future. The information in this video is based on online resources and is for entertainment purposes only. We do not endorse any specific belief or theory about the story of John Titor. Viewers are encouraged to form their own opinions based on the available information. On the night of July 29, 1998, a cozy evening, American radio host Arthur William Bell III, also known as Art Bell, was hosting a popular show called Coast to Coast AM, which focused on supernatural topics. As the internet was not yet widely available, this show had a large following. During the halfway point of the show, Art Bell unexpectedly deviated from his usual discussion of mysterious stories and instead asked his vast audience if anyone was from the future. Shortly after Art Bell's unusual inquiry, the channel was flooded with a multitude of phone calls. Among them was a caller who claimed to be a time traveler from 10 years in the future. The caller made a startling prediction, stating that the former American President Ronald Reagan, then 87 years old, would soon announce his entry into the confectionery business and become a candy tycoon. Another caller predicted that Japan would invent a machine capable of enabling pets to talk, leading to street quarrels between humans and their dogs. Upon hearing these predictions, Art Bell was filled with laughter and tears, never imagining that a mysterious phone call would come through to the channel after the show. However, as no one answered the phone at the time, the caller resorted to sending a fax. The following recording files were made by fax machines of that time. Dear Art, I had to fax when I heard other time travelers calling in from any time past the year 2500 AD. Please let me explain. Time travel was invented in 2034. Offshoots of certain successful fusion reactor research allowed scientists at CERN to produce the world's first contained singularity engine. The basic design involves rotating singularities inside a magnetic field. By altering the speed and direction of rotation, you can travel both forward and backward in time. Initially, Art Bell did not pay much attention to the fax until 15 years later, when CERN announced the discovery of the Higgs boson, or God particle, during particle collisions. This finding indirectly proved the existence of the Big Bang, which scientists generally believe produced the God particles. Returning to the night of July 29, 1998, the time traveler announced on the phone that he was planning to reveal his time machine to the public. While many scientists had been studying time travel for some time, there were differing views within the scientific community. The first belief was that time is linear, meaning that if one were to travel back in time and change history, it could alter the future, creating the famous grandfather paradox. This theory proposes that if a time traveler were to travel back in time and kill their own grandfather, their father would not be born, and therefore the time traveler would not exist. This raises the question of who killed the grandfather. To address this paradox, scientists proposed the idea that when a time traveler changes a moment in history, a new timeline is created, meaning that the grandfather killed by the time traveler would exist in a new timeline, not the time traveler's original timeline. However, this time traveler had a different perspective, stating that Time itself can be understood in terms of connected lines. When you go back in time, you travel on your original timeline. When you turn the singularity engine off, a new timeline is created. In other words, a new universe is created. According to this theory, even if a time traveler does not change anything in the past, their mere existence in the past will create a new timeline, resulting in a different history. This means that the grandfather paradox does not occur. The time traveler also claimed to have traveled to the past and found himself as a child, and had changed history as a result. The reason why this time traveler always traveled to the past was because when he traveled to the year 2564, he discovered that there was nothing there. Unfortunately, it was also discovered that anyone going forward in time, from my 2036, hit a brick wall in the year 2564. Everyone who has ever been there has reported that nothing exists. When the machine is turned off, you find yourself surrounded by blackness and silence. Now, most time travelers are trying to find out where the line went bad by going into the past, creating a new universe, and proceeding forward to see if the same thing results in 2564. Please pray that we discover the reason why there is no apparent future after 2564. This was likely due to many instances of Reagan candy farce whistleblowers in the past. However, at the time, radio host Art Bell did not pay attention to this message. 2 days later, he was shocked to receive another message from the mysterious time traveler. On April 3, 1998, a man claiming to be a time traveler reached out to Mr. Arthur, stating that he had been in this timeline since earlier in the year but would be leaving soon. He explained that time travelers typically do not intentionally influence their visiting timeline, but his mission had been abnormally long, causing him to feel regret for the people in this time period. As a result, he wanted to share information about the nature of time, the physics of time travel, and insights into the future. He provided a manual for his time machine and a few color photos of his car as proof of his identity. The mysterious man's car referred to a space-time capsule used for time travel, similar to the one depicted in the science fiction movie Back to the Future in 1988. Initially, many people were excited about the possibility of a real time traveler and eagerly awaited the photos of the car. However, the radio channel never received them, leaving audiences disappointed and curious about who the time traveler was and what the future held. 2 years later, in November 2000, a message appeared on the Time Travel Institute forum from someone claiming to be a time traveler from the year 2036. Code-named Time Traveler 0, later known as John Titor. He stated that he was on his way home after acquiring an IBM 5100 computer from 1975, and that his time machine was a rest mass time displacement device manufactured by General Electric Company, powered by 2 top-spinning double-positive singularities, and generating a standard offset Tipler sine wave. He even posted photos of his time machine and mentioned a Tipler cylinder that was being studied by academia, shocking the entire internet community. In 1974, Frank Tipler, an American physicist, proposed the concept of Tipler cylinders and suggested that they could be used for time travel. According to his theory, if we were able to build such cylinders, which would have to be extremely long and more massive than the Sun. Anyone passing through the center while it rotates could travel through time. While it seems impossible to build such a cylinder, the mere existence of this theory proves that time travel is not necessarily impossible. Rather, we are likely stuck on the technical challenges of building such a device. At the time, only the most highly educated individuals in academia were familiar with this theory, and some speculated that future people had used Tipler's theory to build a time machine. However, this raises the question of why these future individuals would need to travel back in time to acquire an old computer. This suspicion is logical. The biggest flaw in the time traveler story is that it seems illogical. If future humans had the ability to build a time machine, why would they need to go back in time to acquire an old computer? However, according to our research, in 2002, NASA purchased an old IBM computer on eBay because it had a component that had been discontinued. If NASA had not been able to obtain this old computer, it would have prevented them from executing subsequent space missions. Therefore, the time traveler's story seems plausible. Moreover, according to the time traveler, he needed the IBM 5100 computer to correct the year 2038 problem. This problem actually exists. In 1999, when everyone was eagerly anticipating the arrival of the year 2000, a shocking news story emerged. Many media outlets reported that when the year 2000 arrived, computer systems worldwide were likely to experience a major malfunction, causing unimaginable disasters. This was the famous Y2K bug crisis. Early computers displayed the year using only 2 digits, such as 98.01.01 inches for January 1, 1998, and 99 for 1999. However, when the year 2000 arrived, the computers would display 00, which would cause the computers to mistake the year as 1900 instead of 2000. This was a significant issue because if the computer's time was incorrect, bank systems would reset to 0, power plants would malfunction, and transportation systems would be disrupted, causing chaos. Fortunately, scientists worldwide worked together to prevent the Y2K bug crisis from causing major disasters. However, similar problems are expected to occur in 2033. And they will be even more severe than the Y2K bug crisis. The reason for this is that our current computers use a Unix system that calculates time in seconds, with the starting point being the whole hour of January 1, 1970, AD. The total number of seconds that can be calculated is limited to 2,147,483,647 seconds. The critical date is January 19, 2038, when the system may suddenly reset to 1970, which could cause a more significant crisis than the Y2K bug crisis. The only solution is to extend the number of seconds. And the IBM 5100 computer has a primitive program that can help fix this problem. According to John Titor, in 2036, people already had the technology to solve the 2038 problem, but they were unable to do so because a major disaster was about to occur. According to Titor, he was born in Florida in 1998 and joined the U.S. military's Time Plan Bureau in 2029. During his time there, he received extensive training and finally launched his first time and space mission in 2036. In 1975, John Titor traveled back in time to purchase an IBM 5100 computer, and then returned to 2036. However, he decided to make a stop in 2000 to see the world at that time, as he knew that soon the world would change due to a crisis that did not yet exist. In a message on February 25, 2001, John Titor hinted that the United States was planning to go to war with Iraq, claiming that they had nuclear weapons, but that what the U.S. really needed was a war. Strangely enough, after this message, on March 20, 2003, the U.S. did attack Iraq under the pretext that the Hussein regime possessed weapons of mass destruction. But later they did not find any evidence of such weapons. This was not the only prediction that John Titor made. In a message on November 25, 2000, he warned that there would be a mad cow crisis. And later there was a serious outbreak of mad cow disease in the U.S. But this was not the worst thing. According to John Titor's messages, after these events, the U.S. would have a second civil war, which would lead to a third world war, causing unprecedented nuclear warfare, and resulting in the deaths of 3 billion people worldwide. In fact, John Titor and his group found that the only survivors were those who lived outside the cities. When these messages came out, they caused a stir among netizens, as John Titor's words seemed to make sense, especially since he had correctly predicted the Iraq War and the mad cow outbreak. People were worried that the predicted civil war in the U.S. might actually happen. However, as we all know, neither the Civil War nor the Third World War happened as predicted, and doubts about John Titor began to emerge. Some even thought that he might not be a time traveler from the future. However, just as we were about to dismiss him, we noticed something. After many people discovered that John Titor was a time traveler from the future, some began to ask him about future lottery numbers, or which team would win a game, etc. However, John Titor responded that he had no interest in helping others become rich. And even if he wanted to help, the information he provided might not necessarily be accurate. Due to the error value of time travel can be thought of as a cone, with the tip of the cone as the starting point. When time travel begins, the traveler will start to move away from the starting point, and the farther away they are, the greater the difference in time and space, which can cause different lottery numbers to be drawn or different teams to win championships. In a message on January 29, 2001, John Titor mentioned that when he arrived in 2000, the error value was already 2.5%, which may be why his predictions were sometimes accurate and sometimes not. Stay tuned for the next episode as we delve further into the captivating tale of time traveler John Titor. Thank you for watching.